Michelle Obama, still trying to make her struggling podcast a thing, went on a 4.5-minute tear about herself and how hard it is to be Michelle Obama. We're going to go through quite a bit of it. And who produced it for us? Again, he came, and it was just the three of us, and he gave us like a couple of lines. In particular, he was giving me things that Michelle Obama has actually said, because I think he had the vision of splicing her in. And you almost couldn't believe them. It was like, I think you might need to go back and check that. There's no way that must have come from some other parody. But no, time and time again, it was her exact words. She's even more miserable than we portrayed her.
Even more. And since then, I can't wait to see how this is received, because I think it's another banger.
Megyn Kelly and Patrick B. David just torched Michelle Obama's carefully curated image with the force of a political hurricane. No more glamorized garden tours or tear-stained memoirs. This was a brutal takedown of the hypocrisy, the media worship, and the endless victimhood narrative. With razor-sharp precision and fearless commentary, they ripped through the PR fog and exposed the empire of contradictions. If you thought Michelle was untouchable, think again. This roast doesn't just sizzle, it scorches every illusion, toth ground.
How difficult it is for Black women like Michelle to articulate their pain.
We grew up with women who weren't voicing the pain, and the burden. They made it look easy. And when you make stuff look easy, people assume that you must like this.
Yeah.
It's okay with you, right?
Right.
You know, we don't articulate as Black women.
And the part that makes me a little bit, speculative here, skeptical here, is which of the two ceremonies to not show up to do you think gave me more concern? Carter or not showing up to Trump's inauguration?
Carter,
yeah.
100%. It's a national thing, and he was a decent
president
guy.
has nothing to do with Trump. The president died.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's some funerals you have to go to.
Megyn Kelly didn't come to play. The moment she stepped onto the stage, she was already 5 steps ahead, sharpening her knives with wit and facts like a chef preparing for a roast that had been overdue since 2008. And Michelle Obama, well, she was about to get flam in front of an audience that had been begging for anyone, to say what everyone else was too afraid to.
Michelle, she should change her name to Misery Obama. That's really what I think of when Misery Obama never has a positive word to say. Never. Not about children, not about family, certainly not about her husband. By the way, before we leave this topic, here's her latest soundbite that made the rounds. This happened on June 18th, but I was off.
Megyn started slow, surgical. A smirk danced on her lips as she dissected the mythology of Michelle Obama, seasoned professor tearing down a poorly written thesis. She laughed at the idea that the former First Lady was still being paraded around as if she were some kind of untouchable American royalty. According to Megyn, the pedestal Michelle stood on wasn't built from achievements, but from the media's relentless obsession with turning every eye roll and sweater choice into a headline.
Right. So you don't go to that and you don't even comment. First of all, if I'm the Carter family, I feel disrespected. Now, maybe she would have called them and said, look, I don't want to comment on this, but I'm calling you out of respect just to tell you I'm not going to be there for my own reasons. Please understand I can't. I'm so sorry. Great. Maybe she made that phone call to the Carter family. Great. Good for you.
She mocked the breathless coverage of Michelle's every move, the arms, the dresses, the garden. You'd think she cured cancer, the way the media applauded her for planting kale and doing push-ups. Megyn raised an eyebrow, wondered aloud how a woman whose crowning legacy involved rearranging school cafeteria menus somehow got handed a lifetime pass to moral superiority.
I'm so glad I didn't have a boy.
Yeah.
Because he would have been a Barack Obama.
Baby Barack. It would have been amazing.
Ooh, no, I would have felt for him.
She just borrowed our boys.
Yes, I got plenty.
Wow.
Did you catch that? She's glad she didn't have a boy because he would have been a Barack Obama. And that's a hard pass for her. This woman can't stand him. She can't.
Wait a minute. Now I like her.
He suggested that if you listened to the hype, you'd think Michelle floated into rooms on a cloud of enlightenment, dispensing kale chips and unsolicited life lessons to peasants everywhere. And then Megyn went deeper. Question: the idea that Michelle was somehow above politics while simultaneously diving headfirst into every political arena with perfectly rehearsed indignation and a PR team larger than some embassies. She pointed out that Michelle always played the game while pretending
Michelle
not
Obama
to.
slammed for whining about costs in the White House. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. This is her speaking with, is this the diaries of a CEO, right? So, Rob, if you can play this clip, this is her talking about how expensive it was to live in the White House. Go for it.
It's expensive to live in the White House.
Yeah.
As many people don't know. Sure. I mean, much is not covered. You're paying for every bit of food that you eat. You're not paying for housing and the staff in it, but everything, even travel. If you're not traveling with the president, if your kids are coming on a Bright Star, which is the First Lady's plane, we had to pay for their travel to be on the plane.
And it worked. Megyn admitted it worked brilliantly because nothing's more effective than telling everyone you hate politics while orchestrating a nationwide book tours that doubles as a soft campaign. The book, Megyn had thoughts. She referred to it as the literary equivalent of a Hallmark card dipped in self-importance and overpriced font choices. She laughed at how Michelle managed to say so, much while revealing absolutely nothing. Like a magician waving her hands while the real trick happens off stage. Every chapter, she said, was padded with vague reflections and recycled empowerment slogans, the kind you'd find on overpriced throw pillows in a Beverly Hills boutique. But people ate it up because the packaging was polished and the name was Gold, and the podcast. Megyn was practically giddy, talking about the podcast. She imagined it being recorded inside a private spa with Michelle reclining on Egyptian cotton robes while interns lit inspirational candles scented like hope and media bias. Every episode, she said, sounded like it was produced by a committee of publicists and therapists whose main goal was to say something profound without ever taking a stand on anything that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
If we knew.
Or, yeah, and we have to ask ourselves, the men in our lives is, why wait to be asked?
Mm-hmm. What do you mean?
It seems like what we go through is pretty obvious. I mean, maybe we're not complaining, but we're actually living life out loud.
This is the perfect soundbite after the discussion we just had about how the left looks at everything through this identity. You could say prism. You could also say prison, where she's talking about how women aren't allowed to articulate their pain, about how they just suck it up. They don't show that, as if men never do that, Glenn.
Megyn then turned her attention to Michelle's obsession with reminding everyone how hard it was to be her. She said if victimhood were a stock, Michelle would be its wealthiest shareholder. There was always some injustice to overcome, some invisible enemy making her life unbearable. And yet somehow she always managed to rise with private jets in designer heels, with a memoir advance that could fund a small country. Then came the real kicker. Megyn pointed out the hypocrisy. The way Michelle spoke about unity while dividing, people with loaded speeches and passive-aggressive jabs. The way she scolded the nation about privilege while vacationing in places most Americans can't pronounce. The way she condemned political mudslinging while lobbing designers shined grenades. From the safety of late-night TV sets and Netflix specials, by the time Megyn was done, the room was gasping, not from shock, but from the collective exhale of truth finally spoken. She didn't just roast Michelle, she turned her into a case study of modern political celebrity, untouchable, unchallenged, and completely out of touch. And then, as if passing the mic across a blazing stage, Patrick Bet David stepped in. And where Megyn used surgical precision, Patrick came in like a demolition crew with a business plan and a laser pointer.
And you're running for 2 years and not earning an income. So all of that was in my mind. How would we manage this? So my fears came from the fact that I thought he could win. Because maybe way in the back of my mind, I was hoping that maybe he wouldn't, that this would be the last thing he would do.
He started with the numbers. Patrick doesn't do warm-up acts. He went straight for the jugular by pulling out charts. Figuratively, of course. Breaking down the empire Michelle built on emotional manipulation and corporate deals disguised as empowerment. He laughed at how the former First Lady went from talking about growing vegetables to raking in millions with Netflix deals, luxury speaking tours, and brand sponsorships that somehow always ended up wrapped in a self-help bow. According to Patrick, Michelle mastered the art of pretending to uplift the poor while cashing checks signed by billionaires. He said if hustle culture